I truly am heartbroken for our country. I honestly see us exposing all this, seeing the fraud, seeing the files and lists, seeing the dangers, the depravity, the evil, and yet nothing has been done. Yet nothing has been done. Today we're going to be discussing that. We're going to hear from Shawn and Ryan. We're going to hear from Alex Jones. We're going to hear from Kyle Seraphin. People who are literally big Trump supporters, but they're starting to back off that support. And I will be honest with you, even though I'm a Trump supporter, I am absolutely convinced that this leadership will be completely stained and completely lost, and nothing will take place, all because they're choosing to cover up for people who shouldn't be covered up. I don't want to hear political grandstanding. I want to see arrest. And yet we can't see that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to hear from these people and what they're saying and how important it is, because I think it's speaking for not just a few. It's speaking for millions. And not just a few millions of Americans. It's speaking for a few million conservatives and people who supported this president. Pam Bondi should be gone. Kash Patel should be gone. Dan Bongino is still trying to somehow go into a gray matter on this situation that people shouldn't be arrested. I am baffled by this. We're going to discuss that. If we don't change and course correct, we will be going the way of the world. And we're going to be talking about what some of the world is doing and how we have one chance. If we blow it here, it's over. This is not about doom and gloom. It's about the truth that we're covering up. I constantly think of Jonah and Nineveh, and we always focus on the whale and Jonah, but what we don't focus on is the Ninevites were going to get destroyed. And God gave them another chance. I think that's where we're at. We have got to take this and actually prosecute and repent of this craziness. If we don't, American empire ceases to exist, because the next power that's coming in is not going to worry about the Epstein file. They're going to worry about taking over your freedoms, because that's what the Democrats and the left will do, while the Republicans are standing and fiddling as Rome burns. Let's dive into the stories today and so much more, because I get a little bit passionate in this video. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. We are so humbled by you coming back and watching our content each and every day. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about just the situation we're in. In America, we have now shown the dangers of debt. We've shown the dangers of fraud with our billions of dollars. We've shown the dangers of the depravity of man. We've shown the dangers of evil. We've shown the dangers of all the things that's facing us. And yet, our Congress is still spending money. Our Congress is not focused on America. Our government is covering up for some of the biggest players in the world over the depravity and sins of what's going on. The more I dive into these files, the more that I see, and I can't even say the things that they're talking about in these emails and all. And yet, we don't say that's depravity, and we don't say that these people should be investigated. I am utterly blown away. As a parent of 6, 4 of them being girls, I promise you, if I ever saw someone speak of my family like that, they would arrest me, all right, because they wouldn't be living anymore. See, that's how important this is. This is a breaking point in our nation, to where it's not just a Boston Tea Party moment. This is not just about taxation. This is not just about, well, we don't want to pay our money. We're getting overly taxed. They're committing fraud with our money. And then on top of that, the depravity and the satanic rituals that are taking place within leaders is utter. It is utter satanic and demonic. And we just act like nothing's a big deal. Now, I've got to chide and push back on Trump and rebuke him a little bit here. And I'm sorry if you're a Trump supporter. I am a Trump supporter, but again, balls and strikes here. When he keeps saying, well, I'm not in the Epstein files, that's great, awesome. Then that should make you want to prosecute the ones that are even more. If he didn't go to the island, great, okay, let's bust all the people that did. The Zora Ranch, let's bust all the people that did. Because when you start looking at this, and we talk about trafficking and taking care of our families, what is more important than taking care of this situation here? Now, you can blame, well, the last 20 years, the other governments didn't do it either. That's right. Back in 2001, there was an FBI informant that actually busted this, and yet nothing got done. See, this is the depravity. It started. Now we're exposing it even more, and yet, we're not doing anything about it. I want to go to some of the comments, because this is where it matters, because this is not just Democrats talking. Now, Democrats are grandstanding like everyone else, so they're saying, oh, we need to release the files. And truthfully, they know that a bunch of their party is going to be hit too. So you see them, they're actually calming down on that rhetoric, other than Ro Khanna and maybe a few more that doesn't like Trump. So AOC and then will come out and state that they want Trump to release them. Really, they could care less. They just want to destroy all the higher end Democrats too. It's the same situation, but they're all grandstanding because they could have released this under the Biden administration, Obama administration, and all the other ones too. But they didn't. So now it's up to Trump to do this. If he really wants to drain the swamp, this is the way to do it. My gosh. I mean, they're saying 70% of people that are tied to this are tied to our government, are big handy players in the elite circles, and yet we are not doing anything about it. Because why? Because what that says is people are not important. Typical Americans are not important. Just the elite are important. I'm telling you, man, it makes me furious. Let's listen to some of the things that were just said. Shawn Ryan is the one I really want to bring out, because Shawn Ryan, yes, I think that I would love to see him not use so much profanity, but I think he is the forefront of just a podcaster who was a Trump supporter, interviewed J.D. Vance, interviewed RFK, interviewed, of course, President Trump, did all the things and was really pushing hard for Trump, and now I think he feels completely let down. And if you got a chance, and again, he's heavy profanities, but go look at his old 3-minute clip that he just did, because you could see the passion of how now he is almost turning on this administration. Not because he's a Democrat, not because he likes the Democrats, not because he thinks that Trump's a bad guy, as in the fact of what he voted for. It's because they're choosing to cover this up. That Pam Bondi's choosing to cover this up. And if we're not careful, this cover-up will destroy our nation, because it's going to make all the Republicans and conservatives who had supported the right just say, I'm done. Because I'll be honest with you, if nothing takes place this 4 years, and I'm just stating for the obvious, if nothing takes place, why do I care to flippin' vote? Now, before you get all mad at me and say, well, every vote matters, it must not, because we just won an election handily, and yet nothing has gotten done. I've got to a point where I'm absolutely, I get so heartbroken over our nation, but then I'm to a point where I'm just saying, okay, I better just prepare and stockpile medicine and stockpile golds and stockpile foods, because it's getting to that point where, my gosh, we're going to see the end of all this. Because the empire will fall. Because our government is allowing for satanic, demonic, evil, depraved people lead and not holding them accountable. Shawn comes out and he says, I'm absolutely sick and tired that we're doing this cover-up. And it's got me thinking of how absolutely upset I am of this whole situation. Now, he says it, I'm paraphrasing because I can't use his terminology and his wording. But he's absolutely furious, because he's saying, look, we've done everything that we were supposed to do in electing all these people to power, and yet nothing got exposed. The fraud is not stopping. The spending is still going on, and now we're threatening wars. You know, Lindsey Graham said he can think about going to Israel every 2 weeks. Now, I'm an Israel supporter. I really am. I believe that the wars will end up in Israel, because that is what the Bible says with Revelation. I believe that there is a place and time for Israel. However, Lindsey Graham is a senator of South Carolina, not Israel. Our focus needs to be on America. Our focus for these Congress and Senate needs to be on America. Our focus needs to be on America. How many times do we have to say that? Our focus should be on America. Our focus should be cleaning up America. Shawn Ryan was saying, look, Pam Bondi, if you said you were going to do what you're saying that you were going to do, you were going to get these files are on my desk, we're going to release them, blah, 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 and nothing took place. Trump said that several times, that he was going to look at it and release the names, and all of a sudden now he's backtracking on that. Kash Patel, again, is going to expose everything, now he's covering it up. Dan Bongino still, to this day, came out and said, well, there's nothing in there that actually was true proof that a crime was committed. I'll be honest with you. There may not be crimes exposed, but there was a whole lot of depravity and a whole lot of things that should have thrown up investigations. When I think about the dollar and how it's fallen, when I think about how our Congress is spending money, when I think about the purchasing power and the borrowing power, you do realize that because the way that we have spent our money, the way we have invested our dollars, the way the dollar has fallen, the way the inflation has went over the last few years, our purchasing power for our dollar has lost value over and over and time again. When we think about how good our retirements are doing, and we think about how good our 401ks are doing, they're actually not doing well when you compare them to real value. It may look good, but when it comes down to it, because the dollar has lost such buying power, that 10 or 11% of return on the S&P, it's not looking so good anymore. It may be 3 or 4 because of all the cost and the purchasing power I've lost in the dollar. And on top of that, we have inflation that's going. When you compare our dollar to gold and silver, the proof is right there. Gold and silver outperform the dollar. And I believe that will continue because the way that our Congress and the way that our dollar is done and the way America is acting lately, I believe that it's going to keep on causing problems for our empire. And therefore, gold and silver, which has been around not for just America's history, but for the world history, has been a threadbare investment. This is why I've partnered with Augusta Precious Metals. You can go to maxlovesgold.com or text the number below where you can talk to someone who can help you understand how the dollar is struggling and gold and silver may be the best opportunity for investment. So when the markets fall out or when the empire is struggling, gold and silver stand strong. Right now, gold and silver are still breaking records each and every day. It's amazing how, even though the market's ebbing and flowing, remember, when I started telling you to buy gold, it was worth almost a third of what it is today. So it shows the value is still climbing for gold and silver. If you've had questions about gold or silver or precious metals and wanted to get more information, please reach out to Augusta Metals today. You can go to maxlovesgold.com, text the number below. What I've learned is I want to protect my family. And part of protecting wealth or prosperity or value is not in paper currencies that rise and fall with speculation. It's not with cryptos. It's with something that's been around for thousands upon thousands of years. Gold and silver. Buying gold is not just about money. It's truly about a peace of mind. I want to know that when I go to sleep at night, that no matter what this U.S. currency is doing, no matter what any other paperback currency is doing, no matter what inflation is doing, gold and silver is there. And it's an asset that's been around for thousands of years, and I think it will continue being around for thousands of years. It's not about pressure. It's not about sales. Take about 15 minutes. Call them. They'll send you a guide and talk all about gold. Check with Augusta Precious Metals today. Text the number below or go to maxlovesgold.com. I personally am still purchasing gold and silver, and I'm watching the markets each and every day because I want my money to work for me. I want my money to hold its value. Every time I look at my dollars, I'm thinking I'm putting all this money in the safe or I'm putting all this money under my mattress and it's lost about 22% since 2020. Well, then that means, can I take that loss? I don't think so. I promise you, it's not about the money. It's about the peace of mind that it's going to give you. And that will be something you can pass down. That's the legacy that we should have. Check with Augusta Precious Metals today. This is a new study that came out. It said that 75% of Americans support releasing the rest of the files, even if it implicates the leaders of their own party. The sad part is it's only 75%. This should be 100% issue. Guys, this should be 100% issue because evil is running amok in DC and in New York and in San Francisco and all these other places that we do business in. And for some reason, we still have several elites, but also 25% of Americans trying to cover that up. That's unbelievable to me. I love what Alex Jones says here, and this is so true. He said, this is an emergency message for President Trump. It's not about you anymore. It's about this country. This is from Kyle Seraphin, a top FBI whistleblower. It says, President Trump must expose the international crime network this guy ran. And if he doesn't, this will be the Achilles heel of Trump. The DOJ will sink his administration. It says this is not about you. This is not about you. This is not about the stock market. This is about our families, and this is about the soul and the goodness of America. The American people are not going to put up with this, and I agree. The more that we push this under the rug or sweep this under the rug, the more furious I get as a Christian conservative traditionalist that wants to support our families, our lineage, our legacy, and of course, being the city on a hill that God called us to be. Our nation was set up to be godly. What in the world are we doing? We've become more worldly by the depravity that we're showing here. I get so furious and emotional about this because, again, as I raise my family, we're gonna have an American empire sinking, and my kids are going to have to live on those hard times that we've always talked about. They're going to have to live off the food that we grow. They're going to have to live off the medicines that we put up. They're going to have, hopefully, gold and silver put up, because America, as we know, will not exist. It cannot. Listen to some of these conservatives and Republicans who are saying this out loud. And all the while, guess what? The Congress this year, there's a study that just came out that said that there was about another 10 to 15 congressmen that became deca-millionaires this year off investments. Nancy Pelosi made one investment this year, I think, that made, I think, several $millions. Ilhan Omar became someone who has now 30 million over the last year. Ayanna Pressley, a Democrat, instead of pushing issues that helps Americans, she became a landlord and an owner of land in Martha's Vineyard, the most prestigious areas in America. Didn't have any money, now she's a millionaire. My congressmen, my senators, doing the same thing. And they got an R behind their name. They're not worried about us. They're fiddling while Rome burns. I am tired. I'm tired. Because I think we speak till we're blue in the face to change policy, and yet nothing changes. I think that's why you're going to see the conservatives get very disinterested along with the church, and Democrats will win, and therefore it's over. Wealth taxes are coming in. Socialism's coming in. More government reign is coming in and control. It's happening across the world. Don't you listen to what Yuval Harari just stated at the WEF. Again, we're pushing against that, but the rest of the world's going for it. If you allow for this Trump administration to not do their job, if they allow this to rule them and break their administration to where nothing gets done, listen to what Yuval Harari says. Yuval Harari comes out at the World Economic Forum when they spoke a few weeks ago. It says control of the data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just being a digital dictatorship. It says by hacking organizations, elite can have power and re-engineer the whole future of life for itself. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection and the evolution of intelligence to where they become the gods and control by intelligent design. God's little g, by the way. What he's stating is, while America tries to fix its problem with freedom, the rest of the world is falling right into this to where the elites have all the power and you have nothing. And the way that they're manipulating your money and your currency, your medical, your health, all that, they'll be in control of it. Using intelligence, using AI, using all the things at their beck and call to ruin your life and control you. That is what's coming to America. No doubt. Because you know what? This is the only chance we had to actually fix it and drain the swamp. And yet we've got the status quo and the same old, same old. Shawn did say it best. He said, he said in a lot of other terms, but basically what he was saying was, it's over for us if we don't fix this issue. It's over. We have blown it if we don't fix this issue. Now, do I agree with a lot of people on the what we consider woke right? No. Do I agree with a lot of rhinos that like Lindsey Graham's? No. This is the opportunity, though, for Republicans to stick together and do something and drain the swamp like it's supposed to. This could drain it all. This could fix a lot of problems. It would expose a lot. It would cause a lot of healing. It would cause for a lot of depravity to be shown. But then it would allow us to get to the next side and say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel we can go for. But no, we decided to close it off and have pure, utter darkness all the way through. Tucker Carlson said this. There won't be any arrest when it comes to Epstein because it absolutely exposed the quote-unquote supra-government. He said that is not the government that we see that we vote for. It's the people that's running that. Did you know that a lot of these people are tied to some of the same old players that we've known forever? The old families from years ago that owns all the banks and Illuminati, all that kind of stuff. But that's actually who is being exposed. The Rothschilds, the kingdoms all over the world, the biggest players. And Tucker Carlson is right. He said, sadly, nothing's going to take place. It would take a civil war for anything to take place. It would take a Boston Tea Party moment for something to take place, and this is way worse than then. They're not only taking our money, they're taking our families. They're destroying America. I'm not a big Marjorie Taylor Greene fan or Nancy Mace fan. I think a lot of them are grifters. But there's one thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene said that I think is right. I'm calling for a political revolution. I'm 100% for pulling the left and the right together to get rid of all that's going on. Our ancestors did the same thing, over 3% tax on their teas. And this is a whole lot worse than that. We're $40 trillion in debt. We have 7 years away from Social Security being absolutely broke. And we have no one holding our government accountable. Our founding fathers would be ashamed. And they would. Guys, please pray for our nation. And you better start putting some things up. Because if we don't expose this and hold these people accountable, America's done. I'm sorry. Now, it may not be quote unquote done as in the government there. There may be socialists leading it. But the America that you knew, that your family grew up in, that your grandparents grew up in, will be gone. And you'll be like a sheep being led to slaughter. Like you've already said. Under full control of the elite. It's happening. They're saying it literally out loud. While your congressmen are getting filthy rich, spending all your money, and telling you how every country is better than yours, they're fiddling while Rome is burning. And America empire is flailing and needing a breath of fresh air and needing to expose all this and hold people accountable, and yet nothing is being done. It's a sad day. Sad day in America. Pray for our nation. Prepare. And hey, I mean, one of the biggest ways to prepare is stockpiling gold, silver, stockpiling food, stockpiling self-defense, taking care of your family, letting them understand what true peace and joy is, and that's Christ. Because that's the only thing you can rely on now, because, man, we cannot trust our government for anything. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. God bless.